Hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. This isn't really the kind of video that I normally do, but I was kind of wanting to do a video on my camera and recording setup and some of the settings I'm using on it, and so I guess I'll get into it. So when I started out filming videos for YouTube, I was filming on my phone, which did a pretty good job. It was in 1080p, and I used the microphone from my headset for the audio, and it wasn't too bad actually. One of the main reasons I switched to a camera was like I was filling up my SD card, and I couldn't use my phone while I was recording because it was the camera, and then I had like sometimes the screen would flip and so I had to orient it a particular way if I didn't want the video to come out upside down, stuff like that. Anyway, so I ordered this camera that I'm filming with now. It's a Canon M50 Mark II, and I got it in a kit. So I got the 15 by 45 millimeter kit lens that came in the kit, and then I also got like some extra accessories included by the seller. So I got like a camera bag, I got a mini tripod or a grip pod thing, I got an external microphone, I got a 128 gig SD card, so that helped as far as not filling up my phone, or filling up my phone's SD card. I forget what all else comes with it. I could probably remember it if I put enough effort into it. Anyway, the camera itself seems to be working good. Right now I have the video setting on manual, and I'm shooting in 1080p, 24 frames per second, so my shutter speed is, of course you're supposed to, like, kind of the rule of thumb there is twice, the number should be like twice your frames per second, or close to that, so twice 24 is 48, and I'm at 1/50th of a second for the shutter speed. For my aperture, this lens goes from, it's like 3.5 is the max aperture setting, so I'm at f3.5, and then my ISO is cranked up to 1600 right now. Now, this room, I'm right by a window here to my left. Of course, it would be to your right, I think, on the video. And as it gets darker, as far as outside light, of course, I'd probably end up cranking my ISO up, or or making the other adjustments to account for less light coming in. And then on the right side, I have a rechargeable LED light kind of shining in to take care of some of the shadow on this side of my face. That actually came in the kit too, so it was a pretty good deal for the kit that I got it. I got it off of Amazon. I remember hearing that you shouldn't crank your ISO over 1000, but I don't see it being too grainy. At least I haven't as of yet, so it doesn't seem to bother me too much. Now, I haven't really been doing videography for that long, and there's still lots to learn, but I think it looks fairly good thus far. As for the audio, I'm using the microphone built into the camera right now. I know that I've seen or heard advice as far as that you should use an external mic, whether it be like a boom mic on the top of the camera or like a lavalier mic that you plug in. But actually, given my recording situation right here, I'm in a small room, it's not too echoey, and I'm sitting fairly close to the camera, so the audio, at least from what I've heard in like one of my previous videos, actually several of them, doesn't seem to be too bad, so I'm not particularly too pressed to upgrade my microphone right yet. I might get like a lavalier mic or something later on to see if it's a noticeable difference. But thus far, I actually seem to like the audio from the stock microphone, so that's pretty cool. When I was looking at buying different cameras, I was looking mainly between this M50 Mark II and the Sony A6100. Now there was the M50, like the regular version, that you could also get because they still sell it. But I wanted the Mark II. I think it's like $50 more. It's not much, and you get a clean HDMI output. And I think there's a few minor improvements that make it worth the extra $50 for the Mark II. But So I remember looking at the Sony and thinking I was going to go with that one. But I had seen in different, like, I had seen it recommended that the M50 Mark II, that the Canon was easier to, like, get used to for beginners, or get into using for beginners over the Sony. I think the Sony is supposed to have like a more complicated menu system and the like. I like the fact that the screen flips out and I can face it towards myself, because like right now I have the screen for the camera facing towards me so I can see the video, which is really nice. I like being able to see if, oh, it looks too dark or if something's going wrong. The Sony, you can flip the screen up over the top, but I kind of like it coming out to the side a little bit more, like the Canon offers. The Sony does seem to have some objectively higher specs. So like for instance, the battery, it's supposed to be a longer lasting battery on the Sony. The Sony can shoot 4K up to 30 frames per second with its better autofocus, I think, whereas this camera shoots 4K only up to 24 frames per second. That's the only setting you have 4K wise, and I think it doesn't use the dual pixel autofocus in 4K mode, so you kind of lose a bit of the autofocus, or as far as it doesn't work quite as well as the autofocus works in, like, say 1080p mode. Also for the Sony, at 1080p you can shoot 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second. Well, you can shoot up to, I think, 120 frames per second in 1080p on the Sony, whereas this one you can only shoot up to 60 in 1080p. And if you want to go to 120 for like slow-mo, you have to go down to 720, and there's no audio and no autofocus or image stabilization, I think. So the Sony, I think, wins in that category. And these were things that I was thinking of when I was comparing the two, thinking I was going to go with the Sony because I figured I wanted those things. Thus far, however, I haven't really shot hardly anything in 4K, largely because it's a huge amount of space, and it already takes a long time to upload the videos as it is in 1080p, and 4K would take, I would imagine, lots longer. Plus, my laptop doesn't have a video card, so I don't even know if it would, how well it would be able to handle like editing and uploading 4K video files and playing it. I don't even have a 4K monitor. So 1080p seems to work pretty well for me. And this camera will shoot it up to 60 frames per second, so it seems to work pretty well for me. If I want to shoot like 120 frames per second for slow-mo, I can live with it being in 720. I wish it had sound and image stabilization and the autofocus and the like in that mode, but I guess I can live without it for right now. I might get a Sony later on, or I might get a higher spec Canon. Let's see. Battery life. I mentioned that the Sony was supposed to have a longer battery life. Thus far, the Canon seems to have a long enough battery life for what I've used it for. I charged it last week or something. I charged it a while ago, and I've shot several like short videos on it, taken some pictures. I started shooting with it today. I already shot a 20-some minute video before I started this video, and it still looks like it reads full battery on the display, so it hasn't really been like, too short of a battery life for what I've been using it for. If I was doing a long session, perhaps that might be more than the battery could put up with, but you can also get extra batteries. This camera does not, to my knowledge, let you charge the battery through the USB port on it, which is kind of annoying, because if I wanted to, like, say, do a longer recording session, I'd like to be able to just plug it into a regular charger and have it charge. You can get like a dummy battery where you can plug an adapter into it to make it last longer than a regular battery would, which is nice. So there are options available there, and they're not too expensive. I think the adapter's like around $25 or something. It's not too bad, but it's kind of annoying that you can't just plug it in based off of what you have with the camera already. Let's see. The 120 frames per second for slow-mo and 720p, To get to that, you end up going into the menu and turning on or off like high frames per second. It's not something where you just like, select it quick in the menu really quick, select frame per second 120 and then it automatically goes to there. You end up like going into the main menu and actually selecting high frames per second. So I think it would be nice if it was a little bit more like in the quick menu, something you could just go to with like a couple button presses, but I can live with that. I don't really shoot in slow-mo all that often as it is. But the video quality seems to be good. The audio quality seems to be very good. Based like from the internal mic, which I like. And I want to get into shooting more video, so I'm kind of excited to go out and test more of what this camera can do, both in terms of photos and videos. I want to order some more lenses for it and some like of the like fisheye lenses, see some of the different effects that I can do with it, and perhaps get some extra microphones, test to see how it affects the audio quality. But for the money I spent on it, I think it was a good purchase, and I recommend an M50 Mark II if you're looking for a good beginner camera, a fairly beginner friendly camera. If you want to use these as a webcam, like say especially if you want a 4K webcam and you have one of these, you can use it for, like, you get the HDMI output and you can output, I think up to 4K 24 frames per second for like a webcam. And I think if you get the like EOS utility, it's something you download, you can get rid of the time limit for recording videos, because this camera has I think a 29.5 or 29 minute 59 second recording limit that it shuts off the video after that. And I think that has something to do with like avoiding an extra charge that they charge for imported cameras that go over that amount. So, but if you download the EOS utility and have it plugged into a laptop, I think it keeps resetting the timer so you can record without a time limit, which is nice. It's kind of annoying that it's there to begin with, but it's nice that there's a workaround. But anyway, generally happy with the camera, and I'm glad I made the purchase that I did. So I don't know if I'm going to be making more like videography, camera, those types of videos in the future, but I might. And if you have any questions or something to add, please leave me a comment. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a like, and if you want to see more videos from my channel, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and bye.